Welcome to applying the levels of achievement in your classroom. I hope you enjoy this video today. My name is Philip Scott. I'm a consultant for CTF, CTS, and Assessment and Reporting. My email there is philip.scott@ecsd.net, 1L in Philip. This video is meant to help you apply the levels of achievement in your classroom and work on outcome-based reporting. So, first of all, I'm going to start off with why do we have levels of achievement? This form of reporting is called competency-based. Some benefits of this are, there's improved clarity and transparency. Our students and parents know how students are doing compared to the desired outcomes. It's easier to personalize learning as this is the basis of how we are grading already, rather than just giving a numeric score. The process is more towards assessment versus just numeric grades. Ongoing assessment helps students learn in the long term. It helps them become better because they know where they need to work at, where they're succeeding already. And students will understand their learning profile better and where they need to continue to work. They can focus to achieve better results overall. So how do we grade our students or assess our students? We need to refer to the Alberta Programs of Studies, the curriculum itself, not the textbook or product. As well, how well is the student doing compared to the program of studies, the levels of achievement? Here's where we use our levels of achievement to help students understand that. Third, there are multiple ways to collect evidence. This is called the triangulation. We do not need to take 3 assessments for everything. We have different methods to do it. Not that we have to do it multiple ways for every outcome. The 3 ways that we have to take a look at are generally products, exams, items that students have made or created, writing pieces, that sort of stuff. Very traditional styles. They're useful, they're wonderful at times, but they're not the only way. We have conversations with our students. Do they truly understand? This works with ELL students. We can start some rudimentary conversations. We can start using some translation techniques that we have and programs that we have. We can also observe. We might not talk with the student themselves, but we see how they're working within groups, how they're doing on that, and we can observe those. Our professional judgment is a big part of this, but we're looking at how we can give students that feedback and get the best possible assessment of our students, how they're doing. Jumping into the levels of achievement, we have 4 of them here. The beginning standard, acceptable standard, proficient standard, and the standard of excellence. We're going to go over these as part of this video. Levels of achievement are applied to curricular outcomes. So we take a look at and we apply these to the actual outcomes, not to the products themselves. So we don't put the level of achievement on essay writing practice number 1. We don't give a level of achievement there. We actually have to go into the outcome itself and give the levels of achievement there. If you've ever said to a student, you did well on this assignment, but you need to improve on this particular concept, you've started on the idea of levels of achievement and outcome-based reporting. You're giving them that feedback. We're providing more opportunities this way and more for students to get that information and for parents to get that information. And they can see on an ongoing basis how their students have done, how have they improved, where they need some more assistance, that sort of thing. If a student has done poorly on an assignment overall, but really did well in a particular area, you want to let them know that. And so we can put that as part of the process. We're not eliminating working with our students directly, but we give this as part of the formal process to help parents and students. We don't have to do this for everything we do in the classroom, but we're giving that feedback at ongoing times. So our example here, a student might be reading a sample of text and able to to experience that text and tell about that text quite well, but they might have problems with understanding the forms, elements, and techniques of that. So the student might be able to uh, deal with the types of the favorite parts of the oral print or written text. They might be able to connect to their own experiences, but they may have troubles identifying distinguishing features of a variety of texts. They may have troubles with those areas. So this way we're telling our parents that our student is doing well in one particular area but not the other. So a mark on a quiz doesn't let the student or parents know where the issues are. They're not teachers. They're not trained in this area. So just a mark on a quiz lets them know what they did overall, but unless they actually go look at that quiz and understand what that question was trying to do, they don't understand as well. I know that they're not teachers, so the curriculum's not perfect for them, but we are giving better feedback, more opportunities for discussion. Let's take a look at those standards. The first standard is first standard is our beginning standard. Students need guidance and support to apply the concepts and skills. Students at this level may need to progress further to meet the acceptable standard of that outcome. In many situations, a large number of students will start at this level as they're learning the new outcomes. We assess, provide feedback, and help students continue to learn as they need. These standards do not relate to the grade of an assignment, to what level the student understands the concepts, their ability to take the skills to different situations and contexts. Those are what matters for their levels of achievement, not their mark on an assignment. As an acceptable standard, students can sometimes transfer understanding to new concepts. A common example of this is when a student has the skills to read and create graphs in math, but has troubles transferring those skills to graphing in social class or new situations within math class where you're not particularly discussing graphing by itself, but they have troubles applying that to those different situations or contexts. They can sometimes take the skills or their concepts to new contexts and situations with scaffolding, but not regularly. Note the difference between new situations, context, skills, and understanding. These are really important to consider when making a judgment about how well a student is doing in terms of a level of achievement in relation to those outcomes. So those are what makes the difference in many cases. And as our next one is proficient standard. An acceptable to proficient standard is probably the most difficult for teachers to make that distinction. And so it's an area that you need to focus on a little bit more and take a look at. For proficient standard, the student, in relation to the outcomes, would be more thoughtful and intentional in how they understand the concepts and more purposeful in applying their skills to new situation, and can apply those skills on a regular basis. Example, in foods class, a student being able to decide which mixing techniques of the ones taught to utilize for a new recipe is an idea of proficient versus standard if they can do it without needing to be guided. They can transfer the previous understanding of why different mixing techniques were used in different recipes and apply it to this new recipe. Okay? Another example, for this part of the grade 5 science curriculum, a student may have the ability to identify the roles of different organisms when presented a food web. But if the food web is presented in a different way, or there's different types of organisms within that, how well can they adapt to those new situations or contexts? For example, if instead of land plants, if marine producers are used instead, can the student adapt to those types of changes on their own on a regular basis? If they take a look at the web and they can guide from the way the web is drawn, which are the producers, on their own without having to be they're on a more regular basis, that might be the next level of going up to proficient versus acceptable. You can gather your evidence to make your decision through more than just your traditional products that are made by the students, quizzes, projects, exam, written work, etc. But you can also use the conversations, observations, which are highly useful. I recommend jotting something down in a location that's an appropriate location, either within files within our OneDrive or within PowerSchool if you want those observations to be available to parents and students. But that gives you some backing for what you did and reminds you of how you made that judgment. And that might be 3, 4, 5 months down the road, and you're like, why did I decide that this child knew this concept to this level? That's a little bit of a reminder for yourself as well. The standard of excellence is when a student takes the understanding and/or application of their concepts or skills to the next level. A high mark does not necessarily equate to a standard of excellence. For example, in math, if a student gets 10 out of 10 on mad minutes type things for practice and review type stuff, they really shouldn't get a standard of excellence overall for the particular concepts, or most likely not, if the concept, depending on how the concepts are. There hasn't been an evidence of in-depth understanding or transferring those concepts in the curriculum to other situations. This is memorization, and the student's doing well in that, and it's important for that they understand and know their math basics well, but they're not understanding those concepts at a deeper level, or there's not evidence of that. However, if a student can apply those concepts developed within the math lessons in a new situation, apply the steps in a logical manner with explanations for more complex math problems, linking different concepts together to solve that problem, they've done very well in demonstrating a standard of excellence. If they make a minor math error, they might not get 100% numerically, but they can still receive that standard of excellence because they have shown the fact that they have that in-depth, insightful understanding of the concepts. They can apply those deliberately and independently on their own, and they can reliably transfer that to new concepts. And that precision or creativity in applying those skills is extremely important. And that's what makes that difference for standard of excellence. Okay. I'd like to say thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video. What I would like you to do for your homework is to take this and start taking a look at the assignments that you're going forward on, the projects that you're doing, the products that you're doing, the lessons that you're doing, and start creating some of those, working with creating exemplars or explanations for your students of what would become a beginning, an acceptable, a proficient, or a standard of excellence. So what makes those differences so that your students know where they're going as well? That's homework that can help you and can help your students. And as you go forward, it'll become easier, you'll understand how it applies, and you'll kind of be able to make it fit and do it as you go through your lessons quite easily. But it does take some practice. So I'm giving you work time for that. If you have questions, please feel free to email me or contact me or your assessment and reporting individual. Thank you very much and have a great day.